Good morning, everyone. So in the last session, we are trying to identify the configuration server information here. So we come up with this is the GitHub URL. We created one file under this particular config server. So now we are able to access this particular example. So now what I will do, I will try to create a save related section under this particular license service. Okay, so here what we are doing is we are trying to return the license service. Now what I will do, I'm going to create a one more method to save the object here. So to save this particular object, now what we can do here, so save license. Now we don't need this many parameters here. Okay, so simply we can identify the particular slash is enough. This particular slash is enough, and method is equals to post here. So this path is required and license ID is not required. Okay, so now what I will do here inside our organization ID, so request mapping after this particular organization ID. So whatever the organization ID we are having, I will try to provide this particular organization ID. And here what we can write for this organization ID, we need this. Okay, so I think this is two sections not required. So directly, so license. Sorry, I'm trying to modify in the different location. We'll go back to here. We need to modify here. Okay, so using this, so save method, I'm going to create a save method. Okay, so this is the save method. But before saving here, now what we need to write here? This is important. We need to generate the ID here. Okay, so how we are going to generate the ID? And here we are trying to identify. So this is one of the important example in the service. Now we'll try to create this particular. So set ID. So ID UID dot random to string. Okay, so this is the way of providing this particular ID. Now, so in that case, we don't need to add any. Where is the license? These two sections we need to remove. Okay, so here I'm trying to run two services. The two services I'm trying to run in the debug mode only. Okay, so configuration service is running, and same time now I'm trying to run our license service. Okay, some classes are reloaded. Okay, so finally license service also it's running. Now what we need to provide basically? So here we need to provide the request body. So what is the request body we can provide here? If you go to the license controller, here we need to provide the license here. So now what is the endpoint we are having here? So now whatever I copied here earlier, so I'm going to use same thing. Here I can copy and so once I come back to here, organization ID. So this is fine. And here we are going to use post here. Now here we need to specify the JSON format. Okay, so if I'm trying to provide this particular JSON format, now we need a license object here. So the license object basically we can ignore this particular ID. So we can identify the organization ID. So organization ID, some random number I'm trying to give, and second one, product name. So product name, what is the product we identified? Something like mobile phones. Okay, so mobile phones, and what is the last one? License type. So it is having temporary license. Okay, so this is I'm going to give here. Now whenever I'm trying to hit this, so what happens internally, V1 organization ID. Let's see what is the path we are having. License controller. Okay, after organization we need to give license also. Okay, so this is we need to provide. Now you can see, so ID and organization ID. So why it is missing product name and license type? Okay, we'll see any exception we get. We could not get any exception, so the data is inserted into this particular license here. Okay, so now you can see it is inserted. Now what we need to identify here? So we need to check in the database whether this particular data is saved or not. Okay, so what we are using? Microservice. Where is the microservice? Here we are having. Okay, now I'm selecting microservice here. Here, select star from LO dot what we are having license. Now you can see license type and product name. Get in the pen. So license type and product name we are getting null here. So why we are getting null? So whatever we provided empty, like the type is not matching. So if you see here, basically the JSON is coming like this: product name and license type. Okay, so product name and license type. So if I'm trying to set one more time, So second time also it's inserted. Okay, now we'll try to debug the code. So maybe here only we are not getting the object. Let me debug the code. What happening internally? So it is sending the request here. Okay, so organization ID. So it is getting organization ID. So this is also wrong basically, because here what we are providing organization ID. So something like 54 something we are providing. But here what we are getting here, organization ID. So the organization ID basically it is coming from the here. So this is the path we are having here. Because of this, now it is identifying this particular organization ID. Okay, so now what we can identify, let me stop this server. License server, I am trying to stop here. So we need to provide the annotation here. So whatever the annotation we need to provide here. Now if you observe carefully, request body. So once I provide this particular request body, we'll identify later. Now here also I'm going to modify. Instead of providing the organization ID here, some random number I'm trying to providing this. Okay. Now let me start the server one more time. Okay. So application is started here. Now we'll try to hit the same request here. Okay. So again, it is wrong. So only organization ID we are getting, product name and license type ID. So we are getting null here. Now what I will do, so I will modify the changes. Now you can see, again I'm trying to run the same example. Okay. So let me hit one more time. Now you can see, now we are getting the data. Organization ID, so product name mobile phone, and the license type is temporary. We are giving the license type here. Okay. So this is the way of creating this ID, how it is going to construct it, and it is trying to construct it. Now if you go to here, now you can see license ID. This is an ID it's trying to generate. With help of this particular UID, we are trying to generate this particular license ID here. Okay, now I'm trying to click this. So we'll go to the console. Here you can see inserted into the license. So if I'm trying to go back to here, if I'm trying to hit here, so it is trying to providing all the objects here. So this is the last record which is trying to insert it with the full values here. Because of this particular, the JSON conversion, it is failed here. Okay, now what I will do, I will try to delete this particular IDs here. So delete from ID. Okay, so one record is deleted. Only 3 records we are having. Now same way, I am going to add so 2 more records here. and so 3 records. Okay, so 3 records are deleted. Now if I'm going to select here only one record which is having full information here. So this is the way of writing this particular data here. Now you can see. Now what I will do with the help of this particular organization ID, we'll go to the first record wherever we identified here. Here I'm trying to giving the organization ID. Now this is our license ID. Now I'm changed to the license ID. I'm hitting this particular request. Now you can see. So this data is trying to load from the database. So organization ID, so product name and a license type. So if you go to here, we are able to see the select query also. Here now you can see select query, and whenever we are trying to selecting here, it is trying to providing so default environment. So this is the way of writing this particular license service, saving the data as well as loading the data here. But now how we are doing it? So this is we are trying to identify from the this is we are trying to identify from the data, like the database configuration we provided in our GitHub repository. So with help of this particular configuration service, we are trying to load the database configuration. Now we are trying to communicating our license service. So and another important section. Now what I will do, so this particular form we could not modify any changes. Now I'm going to copy. So whatever we are having here, let me copy this particular plugins. The second plugin I'm going to copy, and I will paste it under this particular where is the pom.file. This is the cloud version plugin. Okay, and here so we could not identify the Docker image name. Now what I will do, in our this particular property sections, here we are having. Okay, so Docker image name. Now what I will do, here I'm going to provide the configuration service. And now here you can see, so this is the Docker file Maven plugin, and now you can identify Docker image name and product version. So this is the build section. So now same information I'm going to copy here. So whatever the Docker file we created in the last session, I will copy and I will paste it under this particular configuration service. Okay, so this is also using from the, instead of license service, we can go for the what we can identify, config. Okay, so config server. Now here I can modify this same config server. Getting the point. So this is the way of writing this particular Docker file. So nothing is it. So simply this service we can expose, that we can add manually also. Okay, now so this is the Docker section we are providing. Now let me build this. So stop the servers, and this is also I'm trying to stop. So 2 servers are stopped here. Now I will go to the terminal. So Maven package. So now I'm trying to click on the Maven package. We are having 2 jars, 1 POM file here. So license service, configuration service, as well as Spring Boot microservice. This the Spring Boot microservice is the top level microservice here. So now we need to identify which one is running first. So first it is running the license service. So this will fail. Now you can see is expecting the URI. Getting the point. So this is, it is failing because of we need to start our configuration service first. So build is failure. Okay, so this is important. Now what we can do, we need to go to the pom.xml. Now we need to provide the modules here. So first module we need to give as a configuration service. Let me refresh the Maven. Okay, now click on this. So whenever you are trying to click on this, now here it is going to provide the path here. So first one, configuration service. Earlier we are trying to load from the license services. Now we'll see, so whether this particular configuration service is loading or not. So started configuration service. Now it is completed. Now it is time to build the Docker file. What happened here? So it failed the Docker file here. So this is the plugin. It's trying to build this configuration service. Now you can see the Maven build is completed. Spring Boot Maven build is completed. But here they are trying to build with a Docker file. So this is failing here. So why it is failing here? Here repo name configuration must contain the lowercase. Now you can see. So we need to provide the lowercase section. So lowercase numbers hyphen and underscore dot. So now we'll go to the configuration service. We can modify the repository name. Go to the configuration hyphen service. Okay, so he's expecting to some lowercase related section. So now I modified here. Let me clear the console. Now again I'm trying to click on the package. So first it is trying to build the Spring Boot Maven build. Later it will move on to the Docker information. So now it is trying to build. So the image is trying to build here with help of this. So configuration hyphen service colon. So 0.0 hyphen 1 snapshot. So this is the version here. So where we are giving this particular version, here you can see this one. This is the image name, something like configuration service and project dot version. So the project dot version. So this is the version. So 0.0.1 snapshot. So whatever the Docker file we are having, how many steps we provided, so it will try to come up with the one by one. So this one is taking some time. And meanwhile, here we can see in the images section, so far we are having license service. So this is the earlier one. I'm trying to remove this. Okay, so in the container, we don't have any container. Now here we are having this particular images only OpenJDK. Now once it is completed this particular image, now we are able to see this particular configurations as well. Now you can see it is trying to work on the steps here. So first step here, so pulling the libraries here, see this is already existing here. Now it is trying to download the image. Okay, so this particular OpenJDK is already available. Now the particular image is downloading. Now if you see here, so 805, so image name is, so this is the image name. It is trying to load here. So pulling as FS as layer. So one layer it is trying to build. So once this particular, how many steps we are having? 5 steps. So this is the first step is trying to perform out of this particular 5. So we need to wait. So now first step is completed, second one is completed, fourth, 5 are completed here. So this is the second one is trying to build something like a license service. So if you see here, so like a configuration service. Oh, it's trying to add one more. So because of this, maybe it's taken time here. OpenJDK is already available. So again, one more OpenJDK is downloaded. Okay, so why we are getting? The second one is failing, license service. Okay. Okay. So I'm expecting the same URL we are going to get. Yes, now you can see. So fail to configure a database URL. Getting the point. So in this particular Docker, whenever we are trying to build this, so it could not identify the from where this particular URL is trying to load, because what is the dependency starter we provided, so data-jpa. Because of this, now we are getting. Now what we can do, let me go to this. So we have a docker-compose file here. We'll try to create these particular sections here. Now under this particular services, so one more service I'm going to create here. Something like a configuration service. Okay, so configuration service I'm going to provide here. So image, what is the image we can provide? So far, whatever the image we are having, so something like 0.0.1 hyphen snapshot. Okay, so this will run on the ports here. So how many ports we can provide? So it is a list of ports. You can provide multiple ports, but simply we can go for the single port here now. So here now I'm trying to give 8888. Okay, so this is all about the configuration service. Now this is the license service, and so database section we need to provide here. So now how we can provide this particular config server URL? Configuration server, no databases. Okay, under this particular database name, so we need to add this particular. Okay, so Docker related. We need to identify Docker, whether how we are trying to load this particular. I want to add the Docker file here. Let me go to this. So what is the database we are using? Postgres. Docker Postgres image. So we are having this. This is the Postgres database image here. Now what I will do here, I'm going to provide this particular image section here. Image. This is the Postgres. So do we have any version related sections we are having? What is the Postgres version we are having? Version 3.1. Let me try adding the latest here. Okay, so every time it will try to download the latest here. So now after this, I'm trying to providing the ports here. So it will try to run in the port call 5432 colon. So this is the port. So this is the so port 5432. Now here we need to write some environments here. So under this particular environment, so Postgres user. Postgres underscore user. So what is the user we are having? Something like Postgres only. And okay, so now last section we can add Postgres DB microservice. So this is the section we can provide here. And let me build this now, whether it will going to work or not. So again, I'm trying to build the Maven package. So how it is? So tag is removed from the OpenJDK. So this particular image, it will take a little bit time here because it's trying to identifying whether the image is existing or not. So why this much time is taking? So we need to identify whether the issue is resolved or not. So configuration, again it's failing. Because of maybe, okay, same it is checking here. Okay, let me add environments here. Let me try whatever the configuration environment we are having. Now I'm going to add here also. We'll see this. So if the issues will persist here, now we need to identify. So profile default here. Now whatever we are having here, the configuration URL. Where is a license service? So spring config.import. Maybe if I give the URI, it will work. Hmm, config server URI. Spring config import. Okay, and another section what we can provide, database server port, because it is running on the so those environment, right? Okay, so these three sections I added. Let me try one more time. Let me delete this. Why we need these many? We can delete one. Okay, so if I are getting some multiple exception, I need to debug this, because basically the Docker could not identify here the data whatever we are trying to load from the GitHub repository. So because of that, it is failing here. So now it should read this particular data, license configuration. So database also be provided. Okay. So why this is taking? Okay. So now again it is building the license service. No. So maybe, okay. So I think still it is failing this. It could not loading this particular URL. Uh, okay, first we can identify where it is connecting here. So it is connecting here. Application level it is connecting. Connection refused. Okay, so it is not able to connect to this. Okay, so it's because of this maybe it is failing. Let me add the default here. Okay. Okay, so I will debug this. So Docker is not connecting properly. So basically we are trying to, so we have some dependency. Because of this it is not connecting. Now I will debug this Docker related section. I will let you know. So what is the root cause here? I will go for the another importance, the microservices section. So finally I will try to provide all the Docker related sections. So with help of whatever the microservices we are going to create here. Okay, so this is taking long time. So I need to debug. So why the environment variables it is not loading here? So because it should load this particular environment, whatever I'm trying to providing here. Okay, so now come back to here what we identified. So with help of this particular configuration service, we are loading the data. So which is we added in the GitHub repository, and using the license service, we save the data into the database. Now, so we are trying to load the data here. Okay, now what I will do, another important so microservices we are going to create here, but this particular microservices basically it will try to provide the or like register related sections. If whenever we are having multiple microservices, how we are going to so register this particular microservices. Now we are going to call it as a service discovery. So how this particular service discovery it is going to build this. Now this section we need to identify here, because if we observe, so if you're trying to build any distributed applications, like we can call it as a distributed architectures. Now what we are going to identify, we'll try to provide the so physical address of the each and every service here. Getting the point? So we'll try to create the all the microservices of this particular physical services, so that the distributed applications it will try to identify the physical service, and later it will try to connect with the appropriate service. So for example, so whatever the services we are having right now, so we can identify. So like license service, as well as we are going to create a one more service called organization service. Now what we will do basically, so this is the one of the property file. So here we are going to create our license service, the physical IP address, and organization physical IP address. Basically, if you're trying to deploy any one of this service into the server, what happens internally, it will try to provide some IP address here. Okay, something like 192 dot something, we are going to have some IP address here. So based on this, it will try to communicate the each and every service here. Getting the point? But here, so using this particular our cloud environment, getting the point? So using this particular cloud environment, now how it is going to work internally. So this section we need to identify here. So OpenJDK. Okay, the Docker file. So no, actually this is not an issue. The environment issue basically. The environment section it is not identifying properly. This I given same 8080. Okay. So it is not an issue because of this particular port. So we'll see why the environments are not loading properly. Okay, so come back to here. So the service discovery basically what it will do. This is one of the application properties here. Okay, so this particular section we can call it as a DNS. So DNS is nothing but so the domain name server related sections we are going to provide here. So each and every service we are going to have one of the IP address. Based on this, now it will try to communicate with each and every service here. But here, now what happens here when we are trying to discuss about this particular service discovery, now it will try to provide something simple here. Instead of coming with a like hard whatever we are going to configuration is going to take a lot of time. With help of this particular service discovery, so we can make little bit simple here. So how this particular section it is going to work here. So we are going to maintaining one property file with all of the addresses, whatever the remote services we are going to work here. With help of this particular each and every service address we are going to provide in our property file here. So now what we can identify here, basically service discovery, this is very the critical microservices in our cloud related applications, because the service discovery only it will try to redirect each and every request or whatever we are going to provide, it will try to redirect into the appropriate service here. Okay, how it is going to redirect it based on this particular the IP address and the name of the our application name. So that we are going to discuss about the one of the property file which will contain all the services along with the IP addresses here. Okay, now what we can identify, so you can identify if you are having more than 20 or 25 microservices, now each and every service we need to register under this particular service discovery here. Okay, but the service discovery registration with help of this particular Spring Boot, so we are going to get something automation here. So most of the configurations by default Spring Boot is going to provide it here. Getting the point. But without this particular Spring Boot, you need to explicitly configure how many the microservices you are going to use in our applications here. Okay, and because of this, we are going to call it as this is one of the critical microservices in our cloud-based applications here, and it is going to provide the one of the advantages. Basically, it will try to give up the scalability here. Because of this particular property file, we are going to get so the scalability. And another important section, basically, if any one of the service is not available or if the service is not functioning properly, it will try to remove the particular service from the service discovery. Getting the point. So if the application is down or if the application is not functioning properly, what happens internally? The service discovery it is going to take care of. So removing the particular service from the service discovery. So these are all the two advantages we are going to get from the service discovery. Okay, and so before discussing about this particular service discovery in our non-cloud applications. Getting the point. So when we are trying to implement the non-cloud applications, basically, so what we will do, we'll try to come up with the DNS load balancers here. Getting the point. So here we are going to use two types of load balancers here. The first one is either we can go for the DNS or we can go for the network related load balancers here. So with help of this, we are going to communicate the each and every service here. Getting the point. So these two are the very complexity because of this particular like cost as well as the maintain also it is very complexity. So now because of this, now we are moving into our service discovery. So this service discovery entirely it is configured under the cloud related environment here. Now so cloud internally it is going to have some virtual machines and virtual environment. Because of this, so we can make our application functionality a little bit increase here. Okay, so and here the cost and maintain also very less compared to the physical the like a network load balancer as well as this particular the domain name services here. So whatever based on the domain name services we are going to use it is very so complexity. So if you want to identify the load balances, now you can go for the f5.com. So this is one of the load balancer like when we are trying to implementing non-cloud related applications here. So this is the drawbacks we are going to have. If you observe more information here, basically what it will do, the load balancers, the load balancer it will try to receive the request from the service. So whenever we are trying to send in a request, first the request is going to received by the load balancers. So now the load balancer what it will do, it will try to identify the physical address of this particular service. So once the physical address of the service is identified, now it will try to redirect the particular request into the appropriate microservices here. Okay, in our non-cloud environment and cloud environment, so load balancer like the functionality is same. Because if you're coming with any request, first it will go to the load balancer. Now the load balancer will identify. So once identified, so later it will try to send the request to the appropriate so service here. Getting the point. Now, so when we are trying to deploy this particular one, more than one microservices here, so what happens internally? So each microservices will contain so specific IP address, or we can call it as a specific name here. Based on that, it will try to identify here. So what are the drawbacks we are going to have whenever we are not using the cloud related, like when we are not using the cloud related load balancers, and when we're trying to use the non-cloud related load balancers here. So basically, it is one of the single point failure we can call it here. Basically, so it is way the maintenance of this particular load balancers is highly available here. So basically, so if the load balancers goes down, on the every applications is going to down. Getting the point. So once a load balancer is down, so each and every application, or we can call it as all the services are going to be down, because load balancer is one of the important it's going to play the important role basically, because each and every request is received. So first it will go to the load balancer. But in the cloud basis here, we are going to have virtual load balancers, like a primary load balancer, secondary load balancer. The primary load balancer is down, so automatically the request will go to the secondary load balancer. But so if I want to use this particular load balancer in our non-cloud environment, we need to be so buy the two load balancers here. So the primary as well as secondary also. If you want to maintain this particular two load balancer in our non-cloud applications, is very costly and very high maintainable here. Getting the point. And so what I provided here, so the cost also very increased compared to the our so cloud related environment here. Now, so scalability. So this is important here. The scalability also very the low compared to our cloud basis load balancers here. Okay, so now whatever I provided, so complexity here. So this is the maintaining the each and every service in our load balance is also one of the complexity. So because of this, now we are going to discuss about the cloud-based related load balancers. So if I want to provide this particular cloud-based related information, now what we can identify internally, we are going to create a one more service. It's like a service discovery. With help of this particular service discovery, it will try to provide the registering all the services here. And what are the advantage we are going to get here? So basically, the main advantage we are going to get, so load balance, and internally it will try to come up with a cache related. So once a request is received, it will try to make something like a cache. So whenever you're trying to make same request one more time, so instead of trying to communicate with the main service, it will try to return the data from the cache. Okay, so this is the main advantage we are going to get. And as I explained here, so these are all the highly available. So as I explained, one service, like one load balancer is down, automatically the request will go to the second load balancer. So here, without maintaining anything, automatically the request will go to the second load balancers here. So these are all the some advantage we are going to get when we are trying to discuss about the cloud related service discoveries here. Now, how we are going to create here? So with the help of this particular Eureka server, we are going to create our service discovery here. Okay, so now first I will provide the simple diagram. With help of this, we can easily identify so how the service discovery it is going to provide. Now you can see internally service discovery is going to play node concept here. So this is the node 1 and node 2 and node 3 here. So here, this is the one service discovery 1, so SD2 and SD3. So these are all the node sections here. So now what happens internally, it will try to communicate each and every node whenever we are trying to receive the request here. So after receiving this particular request, now it will go to the service instance here. These are all the services, like how many services, like you can see service A, B and C and D services. Like you can see license service, organization service. Now you can going to discuss about the core service, any such related service. You can create multiple services, so on. Getting the point. So this is the request here. So here, whenever we are sending the request, first it will go to this, and it will try to identify here. If any one of the node is down, automatically it will come back to the second node. If the second node also will down, it will try to come back to the third node. So this is the way of automatically changing the request information here. So this everything section with help of this particular cloud related sections. If you are not using the cloud, we need to maintain the node sections manually. If the primary node is node, we need to redirect the request information into the second node. It's like the second load balancer here. Okay, so this is the main advantage we are going to get whenever we are trying to discuss about this particular, so like load balancers here. Okay, now observe here how we can identify this particular example. We are going to create here one of the load balancers which is going to provided by the Eureka server here. So let's see how we can create this particular Eureka server. So I'm trying to close configuration service as well as this particular license service. Now what we can identify here? With help of this, now we can go for the module. Here we are going to create a module. So what is a module we can provide here? So something like okay, so Eureka service. So this is the Eureka service we are going to provide now. Simply we can provide Eureka. So com.Eureka, Eureka service. Now Java we are going to select as 11. And so what is the server we are going to use here? So this particular server, it is going to take care of creating all the services here. So now you can type here. So discovery client. This discovery client we are going to add in our each and every service here. Now what I will do, I'm going to select these two. So because so these two, like first the Eureka server we are going to add in our current microservice, and Eureka discovery client we are going to add in our license as well as. So one more service we are going to create. So we are going to add this particular client wherever we are going to use this. So let me after this particular Eureka, we can add Accuter also. So we can go for the Accuter framework also. We can add this particular Accuter here. So after adding this particular Accuter, anything we can add, because if I want to add multiple, basically what happens internally, so we need to go to the Maven repository. Okay, I think this is fine. So these three are the enough. Now I'm trying to create one of the Eureka server. So after providing this, clear this, the help.pmd, we don't need this. I'm trying to remove this. Okay, so after adding this, now simply we are not going to provide any changes here. So once this particular import changes are completed, we will add one annotation here. So this is the simple annotation we are going to add here. So it is trying to download the Eureka client, but not require this particular Eureka client. So I'm going to comment out this. Only we need a server here. So client in our dependency microservices we are going to add, not in this particular service here. Let me refresh this particular Maven. Okay, so now we added this particular section of code. Now what I will do, after adding this particular Eureka server, now what we are doing is we are going to provide this particular Eureka server internally, which will contain the ribbon. So ribbon is one of the famous load balancer here. First, I will add the particular annotation call. So E should be capital. Enable Eureka server. Here we are having Eureka server. So this is the simple annotation we are going to use here. Getting the point. So whenever we are adding this particular Eureka server, now we are saying, so it will try to internally, it will connect with our whatever the load balancer we are trying to use. So something like a ribbon related load balancer. Okay, and here we need to add some properties here. So what are the properties we need to add here? Let me go to the resource here. So we can add a properties file. So yesterday we discussed about the YAML file related section. Now we are going to add all the example in our property file only. So property as well as YAML file is same only, but the syntax is how we are going to write is different here. Now, so server dot port. First we need to modify the port. So we cannot run in the 8080. So we may get some conflict here. So something like 8761. So the Eureka server is going to run on this particular port. So after this, here Eureka dot client, what we can provide here. So this particular service, now we are not going to register under this particular Eureka. So because of this, we need to add Eureka dot client to register. Do we have any register? Register with Eureka. So now we need to make false. Basically, this section we are going to add in the dependent services. So we are going to make as a true. When we are going to make as a true, so all the dependent services we are going to register here. Okay, but this particular services we are not going to register. So because of this, I'm making false. So after this, and this particular service, we don't want to make any cache related. So if I don't want to make cache, record dot client to dot, so fetch registry, I want to make false. So this is the cache related section. So I don't want to make any caching related to this particular service. And so last the particular property we need to add here, a record dot client server waiting time. So do we have any wait time out second? What is the time we are having? So fetch registry after the server dot wait. Let me check wait related anything we are having. Client to dot wait. So basically, how much time we want to wait here? So before sending a request here, so that I'm trying to find out the property. Poll server connection idle timeout. So sync. Where is server related service URL proxy host? Region repository. Okay, maybe backup register MPL available zones allow redirects. Record dot. Let me try with the. Okay. Server registry sync retry wait. Server wait in when the sync empty. This one. So this I'm trying to expecting it. So like it's going to take some milliseconds of time here. These are all the few Eureka related configuration we need to provide. Getting the point. So this is indicating the current service we are not going to register, and another one, so we are not going to make any cache. And basically, if we are not having any request here, so we are going to wait 5 milliseconds. Later, it will try to hit the request into the appropriate microservices here. So these are all the basic configuration we provided here. Now observe carefully. So once we provide this, now finally, now what we are doing is we are adding the enable Eureka server. So we are now enabling this particular Eureka server, so that the Eureka server, it will try to provide the register related sections here. So this is all about the simple example. So if I'm going to run this example, nothing is going to happen here. So it's like a simple Spring Boot application is going to start. Okay, so here you can see this is the Eureka server is started here. So Timecode is running on the port call 8761 here. So Accutor we added. Because of this, now it is identifying it. Now you can see, so we are able to see something DNS register here. Getting the point. So the replica size seems to be empty. So check with Route 53 DNS register. It's like the routing related configuration. Whenever we are trying to provide this particular information, so we are going to provide. So as of now, we did not register any services under this particular Eureka. So this is the main application we started. Now we are going to provide the some client to related section under this particular license as well as organization sections here. Now observe carefully. Now you can see it's trying to use the Spring Cloud load balancer, is currently working with the default cache. Getting the point. So as I suggested, we are getting the cache related mechanism. So by default, it is trying to work on the cache. So and this is the cloud load balancers. Getting the point. So the Spring Cloud internally, it is trying to providing this particular load balancer. Okay. So now you can see these are all the some information we are able to see regarding this particular Eureka. Now what I will do here, I'm going to provide the how we can register the beans here. Getting the point. How we can registering this service with help of this particular Spring Eureka here. Now if I want to register here, what we can provide here? Here we need to provide the client here, whatever the Eureka client. So let's see whatever we copied here. So this one. This is the Eureka server we are using. Now Eureka client. This is the Eureka client we are going to configure in our wherever we want to register. So first I want to register under this particular license service. Okay, so here I'm going to provide this section. Now I'm trying to add this. So after adding this, first we'll refresh so that the dependencies are going to build this. After this, now what we can provide here, go to the SRC main resource. So license service also we are using same application dot properties. And here now I want to register this. So how I'm trying to register this? First the application name is provided, and so profile also we provided default here. And later this is the cloud related section here. Now so Eureka, and here so client fetch registry, we need to make, I want to register this particular service, and Eureka dot client, what we can provide here, so register with Eureka. So this is we can provide. So I'm trying to register. So first one is cache, second one is we are trying to register, and later so what is the URL? Okay, so we need to provide the service URL. Eureka dot client dot service URL. So service URL dot we are able to see. I think it's a default zone only. So default zone. Now HTTP colon /. So where we are having 8761. So this is the default zone of this particular Eureka, and so we need to provide the / Eureka. So after the / only it will try to register all the beans. Okay, so this is we need to provide the default zone. Now we identified here another last property we need to provide. It will try to provide the IP addresses. Eureka dot instant dot IP address where we are having. So let's see, do we have any prefer IP address? Okay, prefer IP address we need to make as a true. So it will try to create the IP addresses here. So these are all the basic information we need to add here. Now what I'm doing here, I'm going to run all the services, whatever the services we are having. Let me run here. From here only we can run all the services. Okay, so I think configuration service is running, and at the same time now I'm trying to run the license service. Some reload section. Now if you see here, it is trying to register our service. So here you can see, so discovery client underscore license service localhost license service. Okay, so registration status 204. Now you can see here, localhost change. This is the timestamp. Now the registering the service. So time code is running on the 8080 port. So the service is now registered here. Under this particular Eureka, now service is registered. Let me go to this Docker. We'll go to the local host 8761 colon Eureka. It is stopped. What happens? Let's see. Okay. So application. Okay, registering the instance is localhost. Now it is registered. So why? Let's see. All the 3 services are running. Why it is not working? Okay, so you can see. So this is the Spring Eureka dashboard. Now you can see license service. But how it is getting license service here? Just we added the dependency. So what is the dependency we added here? So if you go to the license service, under this particular license service, pom.xml, this is the Eureka client we added. Along with this, some properties we added. What are the properties we added here? So first one is we are adding into the cache. So now we are registering, and this is the default zone URL of Eureka, and we are trying to create with the IP addresses here. Now if you go to this, so click on this. Now it is trying to providing localhost. Now where it is moving here, Akuto.info. Getting the point. But here you can see IP address 192.168.56.1. This is the IP address. get independent. Now you can see because of this particular default endpoint they are providing acquitor.info. Now if I want to enable this, now what we need to add the management endpoints here. So where we can add the management endpoints here under this particular license service. So now if you go to here, so management web explores include, so add a star here. So license service we need to rerun in the debug mode. So it is billing this. Now it is trying to rerun this particular service. Okay, so the service is now it is reload here. If I'm going to refresh here, so application information. Okay, so nothing is there. So if you want to provide any acquitor dot environment, so this is the environment, but where it is running under the like port here. So this is the port which is going to created by the our Eureka server. Okay, so these are all the dependencies whatever we are having here. Right, so whatever we identified here, so if we want to identify the health, so health section, the status is up and running. So this is the way of identifying the each and every applications here. Okay, now what we did, so here only we registered the license service. So we did not register the configuration service, because of that it is not showing here. Okay, so now what I will do, I am going to create one more service here. So this is another important section we are going to discuss here. The another important service called organization service, because here with the help of this particular license service and organization service, both are it is going to communicate here. So now we'll identify how these sections are going to communicate it here. So to understand here, now I am going to create one more service. Click on this particular new and go to the module. So here you can identify organization service. So if you want to provide organization service, Eureka service, organization service, and organization service. Click on 11 and click on next here. Now what we can identify, we need a long back. So we'll go for the Spring Web we can add here, and we can select data also, data JPA, and Eureka discovery client, and anything we are missing. So we can add acquitor also we can add here, and anything so configuration related we can add later. Now this is I'm trying to add here. So once it is built here, now we'll go to the organization service. So under the organization service, now what we can identify here, what we are needed. So web cloud related also we need one, because we are trying to load from the configuration. Let me copy the what we added cloud related here. So cloud config client and H2 database, sorry, Postgres database. These two we need to add under this particular organization service. Client here, long back test software before test here, we will try to add these two sections here. Okay, so this is I'm going to add here. Now, whatever the like license service application dot property file we are having, now I will copy and I will paste it under the organization service. Okay, and here, so instead of this particular license service, now I'm going to modify. We can make organization -service organization service, and remaining everything is same. Okay, so anything we are missing here, so let me copy license service. So refresh copy is not required. Okay, so this is, I think it is fine. Now I'm going to run our organization one also. Where is organization service? So simply I'm going to run this particular organization service. So we'll try to run in the debug mode. So whenever I'm trying to run this particular debug mode, we'll try to identify whether this organization service is going to creating the service information under the Eureka or not. We need to identify. Okay, so port is mismatching. Let me modify the port also. Organization service. Server.port 9090. Because 8080, it already running here. Now again, I'm trying to debug this. Okay, so organization service also it's created. Here you can see, so discovery client organization service. So this is the local host organization service 9090. Okay, now if you go to the Eureka service, here you can see organization information also we are able to see registering the organization service, and it is trying to register. If I go to the same page, if I refresh here, so two services, organization service and license service. Okay, this is all about the two services. If I'm trying to click on this, now you can see, so application info. By default, it is move on to the info, but you can check here, health section. So up and running here. So this is the health section. Now you can see whatever we discuss here, different type of endpoints here. Now we can discuss here beans. Now these are all the different beans which we are using under this particular organization service. Okay, so these are all the beans. So far we don't have any environment, so we did not create any environment. Now what I will do, so I'm going to save some organization information under this particular organization service. So we'll try to hit this, how it is going to communicate here. So let's observe the simple example. We'll try to create the all the classes. So how it is creating organization service. So after this organization service, now I'm going to create a package, something called controller, and same way we'll try to create not model, it's a package. Model I'm trying to create, and package service I'm creating here, and the last one package repository. Okay, so under this particular controller class, now I'm going to create organization controller. We can go for the REST controller. Okay, so REST controller, and after this we can go for the request mapping. So this is the class level mapping basically. This is the common for all the methods whatever we are going to create here. Now we can write here same whatever we added, something like V1 organization. Okay, so V1 organization, and with help of this particular organization, we are going to load. So first, before loading, first we need to save the data. Okay, so before loading, first we need to save this particular data. Now what I will do, organization. So organization we did not create it, so we'll create this organization. Save org. Okay, save org I'm trying to creating here. So something like a request body. Before going to create a request body, create a class. Okay, maybe it will create in the different package. Okay, so this is all about the model class we need to create organization. So how we can create? So directly I'm trying to create a entity and a table. After this, we can go for the Drawback related setter, getter related, and so we don't need any constructor, simply no arg constructor. Okay, after adding this Drawback, now I'm going to provide the string ID. So ID, how we can generate? So simply we can make ID annotation. So manually I'm going to generate this particular organization's ID. Okay, after this, so private name, organization name, organization email. So something like after email, phone here. Okay, so phone, anything is fine. Okay, so this is the simple example is fine here. Now let me add column annotations also. Column annotation. Okay, now this is the way of creating this particular one of the model class. Now go to the organization controller. So import from the organization, and here sorry, why it is going Oracle. Organization. Let me delete this import. And here what we can create, so organization service, public organization controller, organization service. This dot organization service, organization service. So I want to make auto write. So let me create the service. So service annotation. Now we'll go to the alt enter, import the service. Save organization. Now create a method. Okay. So before going to create a method, so we'll go for the request mapping value. So just I'm giving the slash and methods, post method, and create a method. organization repository. Okay, so copy this organization repository. Organization service. This is organization repository. And auto-write. Now here, create a repository class. Interface. Organization interface. Now I want to make repository. So it should extend from the CRUD code repository organization. Why I'm getting this colon? It should be organization comma string. Click on this. Two problems where we are getting. Import this. Save organization. Now what I will do? We can return this. Organization. Go to the controller. Simply return here. Okay, so this is we are going to create the organization. Now what I will do, go to the services, organization service. We'll stop this and we'll restart the service. So once the service is restarted, now meantime license service folder we created. So one more folder I'm going to create here. Collection name. So create a organization service. One more folder. And okay, sorry. Here this delete. So here we can create here. So our organization. Now once it is restarted, let's see whether it is restarted or not. Where is the organization service only, right? Okay, so organization service is restarted. Now what we can identify, first we'll go to the Eureka, refresh this organization service. Now we'll copy the path of this. Now we'll go to the this is something related to the organization only. We'll go to the collection, microservice, license service. Okay, so two services we created in the license service. I'm trying to save both. Oh, both are having same only. Let me delete this. If it is having both are having same. So where is the post one? Okay, so this is save as microservice, license service, save as license. Okay, so now we'll come back to here. So this is not required. We'll modify this. Instead of this particular accutor, v1/organization. Okay, so v1/organization we are having. Now modify to post here, body, click on the raw and the JSON. Okay, so what we can provide? So I want to save this organization ID. I missed something. So here, organization dot set ID, whatever we identify, UID dot random dot toString. So I missed this. So again, we'll rerun the service here. So meanwhile, we'll go to the organization. So ID I'm going to make null and name here. So what is the organization name we can provide here? So something like Eureka organization and so name email. So email something like Eureka@gmail.com. Something like phone I'm having, and here what we can identify. So phone number, some random number we can select here. Okay, so this is the Eureka related section. Now I'm trying to clear the organization so that we can identify whether it is request is hitting or not. Okay, V1 organization. Let me give yes. Now you can see, so it saved the data. So here ID and the name of the organization name, email and phone number. Now what we can identify? So this is a selector and it is trying to insert it into this. Okay, now we'll go to this. So inside the microservice, so schema, LO schema, refresh this particular tables. Let's see, license and organization. So both we are able to see here. Select star from LO dot organization. So this is all about the organization ID. Getting the point. So now we insert the data. But here if you observe, so we are trying to use IP address. Instead of localhost, now what we are doing is we are trying to use IP address with the help of this. Now we save the data into the databases. So finally, we created the two more services here. So with help of this particular two more services, we are communicating requests here. So tomorrow we'll try to identify how we can send the request from the organization to us license or license to organization. So we can go for the some service related sections. Like from the license section, first we'll try to load the organization information. So based on the organization information, we'll try to load the license related sections here. So we'll see how we can perform this particular operations here. Okay, so except the particular Docker related section, so any other questions do you have? So I want to debug some Docker related issues. So why it is not working here? Any other questions other than this particular Docker? Okay, so if we don't have anything now, so tomorrow we are going to discuss here. So the continuation of this particular Eureka service. So we are going to use the something like REST template. So this is the first time we are discussing about the REST template. So using the REST template, we are going to send a request from the license to organization, and at the same time we can send back to the organization to license here. Okay, so we are going to have different type of method in the REST template. We'll try to discuss about the each and every the particular method which is available under the REST template here. Okay, so tomorrow also another important the concept we are going to discuss here. So don't miss the session, and we'll continue tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thank you.